Alright, so today I thought I would show you guys a few fan-made variants or mini scenarios for Catan. We've tried a lot, but these are kind of the ones that we highly recommend, and I wanted to share with the Catan community in order for more people to know about them and try them out. And these variants can be utilized for pretty much any Catan scenario. Any expansion, you can use these to good effect, and we've done so with a lot of success, and most of the players we played with that aren't that experienced have also found these interesting. So the first one I'm going to show you today is resource tokens. So I just put up a basic Catan game board here real quick to show you guys how this works. So resource tokens implement or actually changes something that originally came with Citizen Knights, namely city walls. And city walls is something that, well, we actually enjoy Citizen Knights. I think the most out of all the expansions. It's one of my personal favorites, and probably rivaled or tied by Explorers and Pirates, which is also a very good one, which is the latest one released. And Citizen Knights we enjoyed a lot before we started using resource tokens, except for the use of the city walls. The city walls here we thought were pretty much useless. If you don't know the rules, you pay 2 brick to put these under one of your cities. And each city wall enables you to hold 2 extra cards in your hand before you have to throw away half when a 7 rolls. So 1 city wall, and you have 3 city walls available per color. So you can hold 9, 11, or 13 cards then in your hand instead of 7, depending on how many city walls you have. I think I, on average, saw maybe 1 city wall being bought per game. Hardly important at all. It was more something if you had just 2 free brick and you wanted to get rid of them, you used them for a city wall, but nobody even thought about city walls as being important. So what resource tokens do is that they change the use of city walls into something that is extremely fun, very useful, and very important without being broken. So it's a balanced way of using city walls. Now that doesn't mean that you have to have Citizen Knights to play with these. You can replace any other kind of item that you have for city walls. You can just cut out something. Doesn't even have to be color coded, because you put them under the city so everybody sees what player the city wall belongs to. You can use cardboard or cardstock, whatever you want to use to illustrate city walls, so it's not necessary to have any expansions beyond the base game. Now, what city wall does in this variant in resource tokens is that it provides you with something else than 2 extra cards in your hand. Let's say that each player here has a city wall, just to make this a bit easier to explain. Let's say that an 8 rolls, okay? Normally, orange player here would get 2 ore, all right? If that's the case, or actually, let's say that a 5 rolls instead. I don't have the ores available at hand. So let's say a 5 rolls. Normally, red player would get 2 brick, right? So that's what you would expect. Now, if you play with resource tokens, then instead of getting 2 brick cards, you instead just get 1 brick card, and you get this. Yes, this is a brick token. And there's 1 for each of the resources of these. There's brick, there's lumber, this is kind of neat, 3 logs on top of each other. There's a grain, there's ore, and there's a sheep. This is supposed to be a sheep here. So there's 1 for each of the 5 resources. Now, this brick then that red player would receive works exactly like a regular brick resource. You can trade it in for purchases, you can mix it with regular resource cards, and there's no difference in functionality. The difference in use of tokens is that they do not count towards the 7 cards in your hand. Okay? So you can have 7 resource cards in hand and an unlimited amount of these tokens as well in your possession. And when a 7 rolls, you only count the cards in your hand. for sake of, excuse me, for sake of throwing half of them away. So you can have 20 tokens in hand and 7 cards, and you will not have to throw anything away. Also, the tokens here cannot be stolen by other players. So they are completely immune to the robber or to the knight or any other means of stealing cards. Obviously, they are visible to other players, so that's maybe a drawback, but that doesn't really matter because they can't get stolen anyway. So that's really all there is to it. It's super fun, super easy, and it replaces City Walls, or the old ability of City Walls, with a new fun ability that is so much more functional and useful, and gives players a peace of mind and a usefulness to the tokens or to the City Walls that are a lot more beneficial to the players. Players actually want to build City Walls now. It's one of the first things we build. And like I said, you do not have to have the Citizen Knights expansion to play this. Now there are a few variations to it. Let me explain that. First of all, if you play Citizen Knights, a Metropolis functions exactly the same way as a City Wall. So if you have a Metropolis and you play with resource tokens, it's the same as if you had a City Wall in that city. So you would also get a token and a resource card every time an 8, 9, or 3 would roll here. In the rare case where you have a Metropolis and a City Wall, you would then get 2 tokens, no resource cards. So you would get 2 brick tokens in that case. So that amplifies the fortification of the city. So it's basically an added bonus and protection for the resources that the city is getting here. So Metropolis, a little bit more important, but Metropolis is late game anyway, so it's probably not going to impact the game that much, but worth mentioning. Another addition is if you play with Fishermen of Catan. That's why I've implemented the fishing grounds here and the lake hex. There's a couple of variations to that as well, that it works a little bit differently. Okay, let's say a 2 rolls here, and green player has a city on the lake. Now normally he would pull 2 fish tiles right from the stock. Now if he has a city wall, he has the option to instead draw 1 fish tile and then get a fish token. There. The fish token then also works in a similar fashion to the resource tokens. They don't count to the 7 fish tiles. If you played Fisherman of Catan, you can only have 7 of these in your hand. So they don't count towards that, so you can have 7 of these tiles and as many of these tokens as you want. Now, of course, fish can't be stolen, so there's no added benefit beyond not counting for the 7. This fish token is worth 2 fish. So that's another variation that you have to think about. So it's worth the same as a fish tile with 2 fish on it. So you don't have to draw the token. So if you instead want to gamble on getting 2 3-tile fish tokens, or no, 2 3 fish tiles, then you can not draw the token and instead try to draw 6 fish in total then. So that's a gamble you can do, but most players I play with take the fish token just for the guarantee of at least getting 2. Also, normally resource tokens will remove the special build phase if you play 5 to 6 players. I've personally never been in favor of the special build phase. I don't really like it. And when we originally played with the city walls, nobody ever got to more than 7 cards in the hand anyway, because if we played 5 to 6 players, because everyone ended up using all their resources before their turn came around. So city walls became even more of a moot point to the game, so nobody used them in that case. When you play 5 to 6 players, you eliminate or you remove the special build phase if you use resource tokens, which I was very happy about. I never liked it anyway, as I said. And that amplifies the necessity of having city walls, because you're ending up having a lot of cards on hand. You don't want to have to throw them away, and you don't want to have them stolen. And fish tokens are a little bit unique in that sense, where you can actually use fish tokens in the special build phase. Normally you can only use resources or resource tokens then, but you cannot use the regular fish tiles. So if you choose to play with a special build phase, even if you are using resource tokens, which some of you might choose to do, then you can actually use the fish tokens on the special build phase. So that's a second benefit of having resource tokens for the fishermen of Catan. The third and last benefit for the fish tokens is that you can actually get change for these. So if the player has a fish token and a 3 fish tile in possession, and he wants to buy a resource, in order to use the regular fish tile, of course, it has to be on his turn. Normally, if you would turn in 5 regular fish tiles, you wouldn't get anything back. You would lose the extra fish. But if you turn in a fish token, you would actually turn this in for a resource, and you would get a single fish tile in return. So 3 benefits to the fish tokens. They do not count towards the 7. They can be used on the special build phase if you choose to implement that, and you get change if you turn in an excess or of the surplus of what you turn into the bank. Okay, yet another addition that we have implemented that wasn't in the original rules is commodity tokens. Since this is utilizing city walls, we felt that it was important to address the concept of commodities for tokens. So normally, if you play Citizen Knights, if an 8 would roll here, the player would normally get an ore and a coin, right? So that's obviously important for Citizen Knights because you use commodities to improve your cities. So you would normally get an ore and a coin here. If you have resource tokens implemented, then a city wall will now give you the chance to either get a coin and an ore token, or you can also choose to get a regular ore resource card and a coin token. And we have just chosen to use regular, well, actually foreign currency coins of various kinds to illustrate coins. You can use anything you'd like, of course. You can use nickels or dimes if you want to, but we chose to make it look a little bit more authentic to the game's version of the coins. We also did the same for cloth. We went all in on this. So we made little cloth tokens here from specific fabric. We made paper tokens as well. Looks like a little scroll with a little string wrapped around it. Even burned the edges for this. So we made the 3 commodities into tokens to give the player the option to choose those. Keep in mind that that becomes almost a little bit too good. It changes the game quite a lot because everybody wants to steal each other's tokens in Citizen Knights, and you can't do that if you have commodity tokens. Occasionally, though, it can become a benefit not to choose the commodity token, but instead choose the resource token, because the commodity you might end up using right away if you get it on your turn. So you still have the option there to choose. That's it. That is everything for the resource token variant. The regular tokens here, I purchased online. They came in, I think, a batch of 20 or 25 of each token, and you had to order the fish separately. The fish actually came yellow, but we painted them with silver spray paint to make them look a little bit more unique. They were too similar in color to the grain for our preference. But I can't remember how much I picked them up for, but I bought them at a website called Game Crafters, I think. I will certainly link to that in the video description. But it was fairly affordable, and you can buy packs of different amounts. You don't have to buy as many as I did. I think you can buy packs of 10 or 15 of each, and that should be plenty for a 3 or 4 player game. Rarely are there more than 3 or 4 of each of these out in each player's possession, so I don't think you would need more than 10 or 15 of each for a regular game. But overall score for this variant, I would probably go as high as 9.5 for this one out of 10. This is one variant that we have never gone back on. We've never gone back to the regular use of city walls. The only drawback would be that it uses elements of the Citizen Knights, since you're using the city walls. So if you don't have that expansion, it might be something that you're not even going to bother trying. Like I said, you don't have to use the city walls included in that expansion. You can use anything to illustrate a city wall, and this does not need to be a part of Citizen Knights to be used and to be fun. So, but besides that, I would give this a near perfect score. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this, and look for my other videos of reviews of fan-made content here. I've been Mr. Catan. Have a good day. Bye-bye.